Peace, world. What's going on? This is your brother Mikey Fever, NYP. Happy to see y'all. Today, we have the esteemed Dr. Paul Dyer with us today. He will be discussing emotional intelligence, and I hope you guys will learn and enjoy. So welcome. How you doing, Dr. Dyer? How you doing, my
I,
brother?
you know, I'm doing good, my brother. I'm doing good. Thank you for having me on these Fridays.
Yeah.
I actually think they're important. Um, from the last show, what do you remember getting out of it?
Man, a lot of reflection, self-reflection, inflection, dealing with things, seeing how I overcame a lot of things from the past. And when I'm going through the present, like it's easier to manage yourself without casting blame on others and pointing fingers. Because, when things happen, just you dealing with it, you're experiencing it. So you got to understand why is it happening? Because it's easy to say the other person's attaching me, attacking me whatsoever. But it's questioning, did you put yourself in that position? A lot of reflecting, like, did I work? Did I create this predicament and such? So that's what it was for me.
So here's the thing: the people you talk to on a regular basis, and the friends you have, or even in any connection you have, do you think people have that much self awareness?
I That's a good one right there. I don't know. That right there, I don't know. I doubt it sometimes because I hear with the words, the phrases that they use.
Right. It is in the words that they use because words have
Mhm.
meaning. And,
Mm,
and I'm traveling, and I was just on a flight a day ago, and
yeah,
here's a great one of these emotional intelligence issues. On an airplane, we know
yeah,
that someone, when you're boarding a plane, we know that someone's behind you. We know that,
yeah,
and we know that people would like to get their stuff in the over compartment maybe as fast as possible, but you kind of want to be um, kind, or we use the word considerate,
yes,
to let people by.
exactly.
Now, this person, this individual who's a male, I don't know if it matters. This female said, "Excuse me," 4 times. I
Hmm.
mean, I heard it from three seats away,
Yeah,
and he never moved. He never moved. He didn't even look in her direction. He didn't even think about, like, he could have looked to her side and be like, "Oh, like, I'm dismissing you." He didn't even do that. I had literally thought he was deaf, and I was like, "Oh, well, maybe he's deaf, and maybe he can't hear, right?" But that wasn't the case. The woman ended up squeezing by, and the reason why I know he wasn't deaf because he put in his earphones to
uh,
listen to to listen to a movie, and I was just like, "Wow!" So he isn't deaf. He just completely was self-absorbed.
yeah. Very inconsiderate,
The,
selfish.
no, it's worse than that. When you're selfish and considerate, you do acknowledge people in a gesture and then blow them off,
Hmm.
right? Even if it's a slight look, like, I so what, or it doesn't matter. This person never looked in this woman's way. He
Wow.
didn't even, like, if you have to imagine a person that you're talking to is deaf, and you're like, "Deaf, sorry," is like, maybe they didn't hear me. Now,
Exactly.
she didn't want to tap him on the shoulder or anything, because you don't want to enter people's personal space and touching them.
Exactly.
So she did that, but she said it softly, got louder and louder. This is an emotional issue. I wrote about it on the plane, and I was just, because this is where we have so much conflict globally, nationally, community, in a store, with family, rifts. They are low level emotionally. So it's hard for them to be self-aware when they're on a lower scale of awareness.
Exactly.
Because until you become aware, you're not going to know that you are um, emotionally retarded. If we're going to use intelligence, we're going to say you're emotionally retarded.
That's the fact. There's a lot of out here running around with that.
And if you get into arguments and heightened sensibility and have a lot of aggression, you're on a low level scale of emotions.
Exactly.
So I think if when people are listening to this and they hear this, I think if they say, "Man, sometimes I pop off," but you are exhibiting low level intelligence.
Exactly. That's what I say. It's controlling yourself as you having knowledge of yourself, self awareness, and you have to be in tune with yourself and your environment. And you gotta really question, why am I doing this? I don't think people take time for that, to really
I
question.
don't. I don't think they care. I think they are very disturbed about their own living situation,
Exactly.
their own life situation, and I think if people are more transparent about their personal thoughts, we can then have a better sense of understanding of who you are. Like, even if someone's having a difficult day and you're trying to get past them, it's like, yo, calm down.
Yeah.
Just that excitement, you'd be like, oh, I didn't mean to disrupt you. I just was trying to get by, you
Yeah.
know, because that tells them themselves, about their their aggression, their sense of out of control, like you like to say, Mikey.
Mm.
So it's if things are telling on yourself often, just like if you overspend, some people may not be emotionally capable of controlling their spending. We're not
Impulsive.
saying they're not capable of having a job or having a career. They're
Yeah.
impulsive. If you impulsive, again, you're emotionally low level scale and you need your help. You need help. I think, the country is throwing a lot of money at these types of conversations and hiring people like me. Well, I'm not going to work for a company. I'm not, because I think they will end up prostituting me. And I'm not into that. I'm into helping people, helping companies, helping corporations to understand it. But I'm not going to work for a wolf and to help them calm the sheep. I'm not going to do that.
All right. So that's deep right there. That's no whole nother conversation, because that's embedded in the corporate culture. So I have a question for you. Can emotional intelligence be measured? And if so, what are some of the assessment tools used?
The assessment we use for emotions is a wave. It's a frequency that we can attach to you, just like an EEG or
Hmm.
EKG. We attest levels of the firings that you're exhibiting if you're thinking something. So yeah, they're all testable. It is a electromagnetic field that you have in your body, just like if your heart was off, we're testing that, and the beats and your pulse is high. That's, if you enter the hospital with a type of sickness, this is why we take your blood pressure, your pulse, and your heart rate. I mean, those are some of the signs. And if you're heightened blood pressure, your heightened pulse, your hyper heartbeat, that is part of your assessment. It's not a diagnosis, but it is part of your assessment. And then we can go into, so what brings you here, and what type of pain you in, because that's part of that assessment. On
Mm.
a just an average level, if people took their pulse rate, heart rate, and measure their heart, they would realize they're always in a heightened sensibility. And if you're in a heightened sensibility, that means you're emotionally out of control. It could
Mm.
also mean that you're not feeling well and sick and you're trying to hide it, but you can't hide the physiological responses of the body.
That's deep right there. That's good. That's a good answer right there. And that's very deep. The second question I have is, Can an emotional intelligence be learned, developed, or is it primarily innate?
Is this type of thing learned? You're saying
Yeah.
it is taught. It's taught by the environment.
Hmm.
It's taught by your experiences. It's taught by genetic code.
Makeup. Mm.
Now, you could be an alcoholic gene. There is an alcoholic gene. But if you never drink, you don't have to ever worry about it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Prevention better than cure.
So, right. So, if you are passed down from your parents, mostly mother, who passes down high anxiety, um, moods, and aggressive behavior, and things like that,
Hmm.
and you start exhibiting this, yeah, you are enhancing the trait. And then, of course, that doesn't really play on you as an understanding of your response until you're about 12 years old.
So does
And
that
then,
happen during gestation? Not to cut you off.
yes, yeah, absolutely.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah, codes are passed down genetically through gestation.
All right. So that is true. So you're saying at age 12, not to get back on track. You said age 12 when somebody.
Yeah, the reason why it can't be done younger is because you're still developing, you're still working. Even 12 was not fully developed of anything, but you are now exhibiting habits that can be corrected and
Mhm.
noticeable, like outbursts or ADHD. I really don't think ADHD or ADD, all those things, that's, we talk, a lot of us psychiatrists and
Yeah.
neuroscience people, we talk, and I don't think there's a such thing as ADHD or ADD.
Yeah. I
I
never.
don't.
Yeah.
But I do think that there is some disturbance that you are allowing prominently to come through. Because if you were brought up in a different environment, you would not exhibit ADHD.
That's true. That's true. So if it's a lot of outside stimulants going on, a lot of movement,
Yep.
and
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, I see that with a lot of adults that they can't sit still for a second. Like if you try to sit in silence, meditate, some will feel like agitated as if it's a personal vendetta against them and such. Like
Yeah.
you're not speaking. Why you're not speaking? You got to do something. Or some people, like I worked at this one company before. There was one guy in the office who could not remain silent no matter what. Yo, it could be a quiet day. Everyone just handling their business, and he has to be the one to create the outbursts. Like I'm like, yo, what's going on with him?
Yeah. Right. I mean, if he knew that this was causing disturbance, or he was trying to be joyful or a clown or whatever behavior he was exhibiting,
Yeah.
there's information there. Like, are you seeking friends? Are you seeking to be noticed? And with throughout all that, your body is still going through, how can I express myself so I am now considered to be friendly? Now, the emotional part of that, the emotional intelligence part of that, is that he wasn't self-aware.
Hmm.
So that's like, it's almost like when people say read the room, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Now, can everyone read a room? No, but there is still a way you can assess who you are in the room. It's still personal.
Yeah.
I was at I did a meeting with a board today, actually,
Yeah.
um, and giving them lessons on emotional intelligence and their staff.
Hmm.
And it just turns out that the board and the governing board of this place has a lot of disruption emotionally, and it was
Really.
exhibiting in their decision making, and it comes out in their employees, or this one particular employee. And and he has disturbance. So there are trigger points on both sides,
Yeah.
and none of them recognized it.
Yeah. You see, and that's a good segue to the next question. All right. They can't recognize it. So the question I have is, what are the four main components or domains of emotional intelligence? Like, how can one identify it? What to look out for?
You know, okay, the simple answer is behavior, thoughts, speech,
Mm-hmm. Very important.
and and really, it's part of thought, but it's consciousness, or
Being
it's
aware and
yeah, it's all wrapped up in that. And then, like you said, it's about control. How come you're not able to not pop off? Even if someone makes you mad, you're just not capable. And
yeah.
and I don't like to use the word control because I like to use the word understanding. But if you don't understand your emotional triggers,
Mhm.
that is the sign. That's one of those signs. I mean, because people have criminal acts. People will cause there's crime. There's people who commit crime because not that they're a psychopath, sociopath, or they're just trying to do bad things. It's that
Mhm.
their emotional levels able to be influenced by what they're going to do.
Exactly. The outside, the exterior, the activities outside of them, fight or
Now,
flight.
parents cause a lot of this in how they teach their kids or
Exactly.
how they don't teach them. And
Yep.
in the Black community, it's a lot of sit down, shut up, and don't say anything.
Yeah.
So, with that being said, or I'll spank your ass, or I'll slap the daylights out of you.
I
That
give a
only
reason. I give
comes
a
in.
reason to cry.
Yeah, I'll give you a reason to cry. That only happens, but predominantly in American Africans, or in
In Caribbean.
lower level income. It's not only in lower level income, but it's there. Like, you would not behave like this. Well, understanding why they're behaving it's a language to set child. Understand what they're trying to say in their behavior, so now you can identify instead of saying be quiet, shut up, and then all of a sudden that child grows up and they're 30 something and they're not paying attention to someone on an
Mhm.
airplane trying to get by.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm telling you, because emotional intelligence, it rears its head in every, I think, aspect of human interaction. Like
Absolutely.
online, for somebody to sit down behind a computer, right? This is what I see and troll people. That's a person that's dedicated to straight chaos, like who doesn't like value life. Like they have nothing going on with themselves. They get behind a computer, they projecting whatever inferior complex that they have within themselves on others. And I find that very odd. Like, you
how,
know,
how do you get people to value life?
they have to really like,
No.
yeah.
It's not. I don't want you to fall down a rabbit hole. I'm gonna so you don't sprain an ankle like I just broke off a crossover on you.
Go ahead.
But
Let me-
how do people value life?
by appreciating what they have, what
What
they
if they
do,
don't know how to appreciate
well, that's something they have to work on within themselves. They got to go back
it?
and reflect on things. They really have to.
You've mentioned a lot of things in the shows that we've done, and a lot of self reflection and with your parents and coming from Haiti and things like that. So
Yeah.
the value of life you saw is the struggle you had been through.
Oh, I actually I was born here. My family, yeah, they came from here. I was born here, but
Man,
yeah, but I from what I hear, from what I heard, what they went through, made me appreciate, what I have. Like, and they
right,
were my pops was well off out there, and my mom, they're well off. But from what they experience from seeing, and then coming here, then you got to start all over again.
Mhm.
That makes you appreciate things.
So, and I hear that a lot from foreign
Yeah, exactly.
families. I do, because I've been to the other countries and many places, and when they come here, a lot of the offspring say, I know what my parents went through to get me here, or to be here, to be safe here. And so
Yeah,
I'm going to strive and do and I'm going to do better to be better, right?
exactly.
Um, but you don't, people have a hard time valuing life if they have not seen life. I'm not
Mhm.
talking about seeing the streets
Nah.
or seeing billboards. I'm talking about seeing life.
Yeah, exactly.
That's important.
It's a fact. No, I'm listening to you. It's a fact. It's a fact.
Yeah. So to ask someone how they value life, they're going to tell you about the things they got. That's already, if the first thing they come out with is material, they're already exhibiting low level emotional intelligence,
Exactly.
right? If they
Yeah.
tell you about what they've been through, they're already exhibiting lower level intelligence, because everyone has a place of beginning. Emotional intelligence is understanding that place you come from, and how are you going to control your behavior in this situation, that situation, and things, right? I
Hmm.
just don't see a cause of a person screaming at someone at Wendy's because they got their order wrong.
Yeah, that's
What what is
lunatic
going
behavior.
on?
Yeah, some lunatic behavior. I always find that odd. Like, why? Why are we doing this?
Even road rage. I am just not understanding the rage of a person on the road. You could say it's selfishness or inconsiderate or anything like that,
Hmm.
but you're saying out of the like a billion people who drive, that no one has a rough time that they're going through, and you're trying to move past them. You almost say that you're self-absorbed. Everyone's got a place to go. That's
Exactly.
why they're going.
Yeah.
That's why they're going. Now, if you want to critique the way people drive, that's a different story. Like, oh my God, I can't believe the way this person's driving, this or the other thing. But if it's upsetting to you,
Yeah.
you're on a whole different level. You can critique someone, but if it's upsetting, like you are physically showing signs of upset. And how do I know you're upset? Because you bang the steering
You're
wheel like,
well,
oh,
you're yelling,
right? Yeah.
jumping out your car, and it's crazy, man. So with all that, right? With all that being said, the next question I have, right? And forgive me, you know what I'm saying? How can someone improve their ability to regulate their emotions effectively?
We talked about this before, and there's this training, and that's why I started an emotional reaction training class, because I put you through things so you could understand where your tipping points are.
Yeah.
But it takes training. It does. It just takes training. I mean, if you want to light a candle every night and sit there and do your deep breathing,
Yeah.
how does that help you in Midtown? How does that help you getting on and off the train when you're pissed off? How does that help you not yell at the drive through at Wendy's or something? You
Yeah.
know,
It's all
how
about
about
being
this?
alert.
There's things that goes around on YouTube, and there's this white woman that used a nigger word to these females, and these females exhibit like beating them, right?
Mhm.
Now, there's two things. You are beating on a woman who used the word nigger.
Yeah.
or man,
triggering
whatever.
words right there. Those words are triggering for
Yeah.
many.
But ask the person who said they were upset by the word why they are triggered, and they were going to be like, "You're not calling me one, and you shouldn't be
Using
okay."
that word, historical
So, right.
events.
But ask yourself, why are you upset? Like, if you are upset physically, it touched something in you that you believe that you are.
Mm,
We're not talking about right or wrong of the word. We're talking about your physical upsetness.
yeah.
That's something within you.
That comes back to the whole reaction and responding, because you just
Yeah.
react off impulse. The respond time is like you process information cognitively, you listen,
Mhm.
and you either accept that invitation in plain English to that argument, or you just dismiss it.
Right.
But some people, what it plays down to is, to me, I think with emotional intelligence, egos involved in there,
Well,
pride.
yeah, that's going to hijack all that. But then again, you mentioning all that is a
Mhm.
low level emotional being.
What if you you detect all that, you be like, hold up, maybe I should put my ego in check. Maybe I have some unresolved matters that led to some inferiority. Maybe it's malignant in me. So
Right.
why? Yeah.
That's higher level. That's growing your intelligence emotionally.
Mm, I got you. So okay. So now what we see, what's going on in the media and everything else and around the world. Question I have is, how does emotional intelligence influence leadership and effectiveness?
Oh my goodness. If I could tell you how many people are who are leaders who go through emotional training
Yeah.
to say the things, to trigger things purposely,
Yes.
it is all about that training. That's why they jump on media or news conference. They are triggering,
Mm-hmm.
they're activating people that they know they were activating, either for or against. And both of those gives them power.
Isn't that considered like some kind of some form of like, for those who like to think outside some kind of witchcraft NLP, some neuro linguistic plan,
Yeah, yeah.
programming, double speak.
It's absolutely, but it's put into play because let's face it, low level humans will fall for it
Mm-hmm.
and they will follow it. They will
Yeah.
either follow it because they believe it, or they'll protest against it
Mm-hmm.
because it triggered a negative response to them, which is also good for them. So it is mind control, it's programming.
Exactly. A lot of that's happening, brother. A lot of that happening. We see it every day. We
Yeah. And
it happens.
it really, for me, I look at all these things as
Mm-hmm.
a science experiment for me. I would love to get half these people in like a room and put them in boxes like a lab rat. Because I they amaze me. I how easily people are triggered by things they know very either little about, or they accept what is told to them of how they're being viewed.
Mm, that's true. That's true. That's deep right there. So how does self-awareness contribute to emotional intelligence?
It's everything. It's everything. I mean, it's everything.
Mm,
Um, it's like smelling spilled milk or spoiled milk. Just
mm,
think about it. If you pick up milk and you think it's spoiled, you smell it, what's your choice?
yeah.
Either it's not that spoiled and I'll drink it anyway.
You're gonna trick yourself into drinking it, yeah.
Right. Or is it spoiled and be like, ugh, and you pour it down. Now, let's put in some factors. I don't
Mm,
get paid for another week,
mm,
and I am hungry.
Mhm.
So my emotional state of being hungry is probably going to allow me to be okay if it's not clumpy, but just smells bad.
Woo. That's like smoking cigarettes. We know it's bad for us. It says it on there, but we tricked ourselves into thinking, you know what? For the moment that I'm feeling down or I'm feeling a little bit of anxiety, I'm gonna smoke
Mhm.
on this.
Right.
And so I see what you're saying. Yeah. That's,
So that's how emotion plays on it, because we can start doning biased, reasonable skills to why we do the things we do because of a, something else, right? You
mhm.
ask a person, "Do you drink you, spoiled milk?" They'll tell you no, but you ask a person who's hungry, "Would you drink spilled milk?" They'll say, "Hell yeah."
Mm. Based on their circumstance. Yeah.
Correct. So
Desperation.
people are basing their actions on circumstances. I mean, you hear that a lot. Like, you don't normally act like this, but then if that means you must know something has changed, and if it has changed, ask the person, are they okay? Not try to correct their behavior, because something is causing a different trigger, which causes a different behavior, which causes an emotional response.
That's deep right there. That's real. Now, what you laid it out. I have a question that this question right here is coming from what I observe and many others have. There's this whole online conflict amongst Africans of the continent, as you put it, American Africans here and those in the diaspora, right? So this question right here is just touched on that. Um, yeah, forgive me for that, right? Um, is emotional intelligence is developed through like a your culture? Because does culture factor in emotional intelligence?
There is. And so understanding your factors, right? Because we talked about environment being a cause of how a person can develop in this.
Yeah,
So your environment culturally has, if you're strong in your culture,
yeah,
some people can use culture as a crutch, right? This is how I was brought up, right?
yeah,
This is, I'm Latino. This is what we do, right?
yeah.
Um, but if you're going to use it as a cultural reference, then can they explain the cultural relative to be relative into their actions,
That's why I want to get into that. Yeah,
right? If
yeah.
they're unable to just to say this is just how we do,
Hmm.
I'm not buying it, because even you don't understand how relevant it is to your culture of what you do.
Exactly.
And because if you don't understand it, then your verbiage argument doesn't hold water,
Mm.
right? So when people want to use their culture, I yeah, it is a culture, but can you explain why your culture does this,
They won't.
right?
They won't have the answer.
But if they don't have an answer, this
That's
is
not
how we
valid.
do it.
Yeah,
That's not valid.
it's not valid.
That's not valid.
That's as they call it, as I call it, some kind of pseudo nationalism. Because it's just about just protecting that ego,
Hmm.
not wanting to appear flawed or weak. Because some people misconstrue patriotism with ego.
Right.
So,
Now, what if they say, because then I've had these conversations with people by working with them. This
mhm,
is how my pop showed me. Yeah, but do you know why your pop showed you this? I don't know. This is what he told me. But you never ask the reason of this. So you don't know.
yeah,
So if I could ask your father, would he know? He might know something, but he never told you that something. That's why I said when you come to raising your child, if you don't have reasoning of why you are delivering things to your child, then you're
Mhm.
creating a negative state child.
Mm.
Sit down and be quiet, and I don't want to hear a word from you. That child may sit and be quiet, but doesn't mean they stop thinking about being in a negative state.
Exactly. Affects them internally. Yep.
It affects them internally. So now what you're exhibiting is a power over system. So
Mm.
once they become older or stronger, you hear many parents like, he just won't listen to me no more, or she won't listen to me anymore,
Yeah.
because now they feel they have power. They're either stronger or taller or whatever, and they're just going to push you to the side because
Exactly.
you never develop that emotional education with it.
You see how we talking about this now, right? And
Yeah,
granted, you said in the past you have endured a lot of many things, so that pushed you to further your education and understand why things
yeah,
happen. That
yeah.
came with a lot of self healing, and
Mhm.
you see things from both sides of the spectrum, right? How can our people, should I say
Hmm.
everyone on the planet, how can they go about, like, although we went on this, right? Based on their day-to-day lives, they busy working and everything else, is, a lot of things are happening. When do they have time to really sit down
They
to
don't.
process these things?
They don't. They don't, or they choose not to. And I will tell you they choose not to, because even when you're training someone or personalized training or doing anything fitness, you don't want to be healthy. They're like, I just don't have the time to work out. What do you mean?
Yeah,
You don't have 20? You don't have 20 minutes?
yeah,
You don't have 35 minutes to work out for yourself? That's interesting. That's interesting, because it's not true. Because if you talk with that person that says they don't have the time, and you write down with them what they do throughout the day, you're going to
mhm,
find at least 2 hours.
exactly. Maybe they don't value themselves as put themselves in the high regard.
But
You know,
that comes with self awareness, right?
yeah,
You cannot value life or yourself if you're not self aware. So that's why they don't value life. That's why it's hard for them to value life. That's why words will come up into a material thing or a perseverance thing, like I'm working 2 jobs or something like that.
yeah.
That's not your value.
Constant survival. That's what they've
Yeah,
been
yeah,
bred to believe.
yeah.
Unfortunately, life sometimes it's all based on a person's perspective. How they become you become your struggle somehow. Some people don't know how to separate, to be like, this is what I'm doing to keep a roof over my head to survive, and this is the goal I'm trying to attain. So it's like it become convoluted, and they struggle.
And they don't know it.
That's unfortunate for many, man.
And that's also emotional intelligence. When you don't know that you've become your struggle or victimizing,
Yeah.
here's the thing: people say, "But I am a victim." Okay,
Mhm.
but you're victimizing means you hold on to it, like a good jacket. Like that is what you wear. Like this defines you. This is who you are.
Yeah, that's crazy. A lot of I spoke about this on the last show, and I was you know poking fun. Like, I don't know if you're aware of this whole movement online, like that narcissistic NPD.
Okay,
And
that's the
I,
personality disorder.
yeah, I feel bad for some people. I hear their stories and whatever they have gone through, because many others out there have encountered situations like that in their lives. But to sound like you're just crying online for attention, that's what it comes off to me. They put the music in the background and they screaming at the camera, and this person did this and that. But when you do listen to the majority of the stories, you'd be like, so you wasn't aware of all that happening to you? Why did you stay?
Right. Because
Like,
yeah. So if someone came on the thing and said, "Why did you stay?" Like, I stayed because whatever they're gonna say.
you got low self-esteem. Let's be honest.
Just say
Stop
it.
it.
Or
Stop it.
or I didn't think I could do any better. Or whatever. If I want to hear, why did you stay?
Maybe you was one yourself. whatever you point. That's what I look at it as. Maybe you was one yourself. You attract, you attract what you are. Not in all instances, but
I understand what you're saying, and I'll tell you that predators
Mhm.
know what you're not. And that's where this mind control we were just talking about, how
Mhm.
leaders say the things they're saying,
Mhm.
because it could trigger you, affect you, right? Predators doesn't have to be all that smart to know your weaknesses. That is still part of the survival game.
Exactly.
They'll blind you by their appearance. Because if you ask yourself, let's say a guy and a girl, when a girl says, "Man, he looks fine," right?
Mhm.
And so why'd you go on a date with him? Because he good, right?
Mhm.
That should create trouble for you anyway, because you're willing to put yourself in a situation off of a visual.
Yeah.
I don't see how that's healthy.
Not thinking that self that awareness again.
Right. Now, guys can do it because they can feel like, what is she going to do to me? Right.
Mhm.
Until they meet up with that female who's going to, fall in love with you, after 30 seconds meeting with you. And then all of a sudden she's slashing your tires,
Pick up a pick up a cycle.
and you're like, I can't believe she's like that. What are you talking about? You went along with the whole thing. Oh my God, you're amazing. And you like, it fed into you. And then
Mhm.
you're like, oh, I'm not coming over next week. And all of a sudden she's slashing tires, showing up at your
Yep.
job and cursing you out, or she sees you out with another person and she's beating the hell out of them, right?
Yeah. 80% of the time, male and female, they have some unresolved matters, and there,
But you
it's
didn't recognize it because you're a low level on an emotional scale.
at that point, yeah, because your,
Yeah.
your hormones are racing. You're thinking, as
Yep.
they say, in a carnal manner, and all intelligence is out the window. So,
Hmm.
can emotional intelligence be too high or too low? And if so, what are the implications?
There is no such thing as too high on anything.
All right, good.
Um, if you're too low, uh,
You're in trouble.
you're in trouble. You're in trouble. You are you. Here's the thing: if you recognize that you're low and you're
Hmm.
not trying to develop it or get training or help with it,
Yeah,
I'm beyond words. I don't understand that at all.
you be playing the blame game your whole life.
Right. Yeah. And you're just going to be miserable. That's amazing that if you know you're on a low level of emotional intelligence, you're like, I just don't mind being angry. I have no problem being aggressive. I have no problem saying things that, wow.
Outlandish. Yeah.
Yeah. That's just amazing. And if people are around you, if you're around a person that you consider to be a friend and you're not trying to help them understand what you're noticing, then you are contributing to their outcome.
Yeah, it's supposed to help them grow. You're not holding them responsible. I see that a lot because we see that even now in this so-called black culture we have. Like, I noticed that the ignorance is more tolerated, celebrated. Like, yeah,
It,
I
it
could.
which I Right, I hear it. It scares me.
Yeah, I'm
It
like,
scares me.
you're not gonna stop this. You're not gonna. Nobody's gonna step in and say, okay, maybe you need to take a step back and try to
Right.
approach this with some more rationality instead of being irrational. And this is why I say I poke at that a whole you know NPD movement thing with that narcissist, because I see a lot of people getting their phones and they just be using that term so loosely, screaming at their phones. Ladies, don't date this man. Fellas, don't date this and that. I'm like, shut up. You sound like you're miserable and alone. You want people to join you. Like, come on. Life goes on. You learn
But
and you
it'll
move.
go it'll, it'll go on the same way because you don't know what what you did to attract the same person.
Exactly. Oh, sometimes what if, they not exercising accountability too?
But
Very
that's
much.
ego.
Yeah, yeah. Because you probably trigger that person, because I believe in cause and effect. So it may have happened that you trigger that person to behave in such a manner.
I don't think, beating up a woman because she
No,
didn't
no,
make
no.
you chicken pot pie.
No, 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 don't be. No, we're not advocating the violence. No, no. Violence, no. So I'm talking about
She
like
didn't make me chicken pot pie.
pie and nah, nah. We're not Ike, we're not doing no Ike and Tinas here, man. You know what I'm saying? Nah, we're not advocating that. Um, oh man, it's so many things I want to ask, but what strategies can be employed to enhance emotional intelligence in children and adolescents? Because we spoke about the children, what parents do, but
Yeah.
what can a parent do?
It takes and time and effort. You're not going to understand your child just by asking, why are you doing this? What is your behavior? Why do you continue to do this? That is not, because the child does not have the language skills or the understanding skills to express.
Yeah.
But you can get the information of what they're doing from how they're doing it. So if they're breaking stuff, is it all the time they only break stuff, or do they just harm things? Or
Yeah.
you got to understand what their level is, right? If it's just they like to hear the breaking of stuff, then that's information.
Yeah. That child's maybe needs to go out there in the war field or something.
I mean, but and then we say the Black community, I can't afford. That's a lot of language. I can't afford a therapist. I can't afford a Dr. Dyer. How do you know? Have you reached out? Have you even asked someone?
Mm-hmm.
If you say you've asked, I don't have the time to keep looking. Again, I don't have the time.
Yeah.
I can't afford. Well, then what are you saying? You're saying I got to do this, I got to do that, and I can't afford this, and I can't afford that.
Mm-hmm.
But how many of you who can't afford are still getting stuff for yourselves?
That's right.
Like I don't get it, and I don't get it. You are working in a minimal job, and you have hair and nails done. You're telling me you're spending money that you should be saving or protecting, but you're spending a minimum of $200 on the way you look.
Maybe to feel good about themselves.
Okay, but I get that is to feel good about myself, but so no one ever taught you about finances. That's why emotional comes in. You're not looking at understanding what your emotional intelligence is. If you are okay working in a low-level job, spending 20% of your intake on something else, that's not cool.
Yeah, it's priority. Yeah, it's all about the mental state is in bad shape.
Now, if you had a girls' night and your girlfriends do each other's hair and whatever, those people great. But we're talking about some people go to these shops and they spend upwards. I talked to a young girl in high school. She spent $500 on her hair.
Damn.
I'm like, who's paying for this? She goes, my mama. I said, why? She goes, because she wants me to look good. I said, there's something wrong. Because then I look at her grades. Yeah, I look at her grades, and she's getting C's.
It's not reflecting. Right? Yeah,
it's not reflecting. You know what I mean? So, and then I don't care if it's fakes or real. The Nike shoes. It's lack of emotional intelligence when you spend more money than you make, so you can look good, to feel good about who you are. That's low level intelligence.
Some people, like, you know, as they say, Kanye put it best, is trying to buy back his self-esteem, to the feeling of inclusion, not to feel left
Mhm.
out, because you know you be made fun of growing up. Because I remember that was happening a lot. Oh, you don't have this, you don't have that, and they feel like, if you like, people like to feel like a level above one another, you know, above the other, to show that, look, this is where I'm at. And
Well, that's a slave mentality, actually.
exactly,
It is. I'm better than a field nigger.
yeah.
Right. Because I'm in the house. I'm better than this Negro because I'm on the horse. I'm
Mhm.
better than this Negro because I wear shoes. I'm
Yeah,
better than this Negro because I have a suit. You know, it's so ingrained into the fabric of development of the American African that they still don't recognize that they bought into it.
American Nightmare. Yeah, that's a fact. That's a fact. So, what role does
I had a white man ask me, how come black people have so much trauma? He was genuinely curious.
hmm
And I asked him, well, what do you mean? Like,
hmm
what do you mean and what do you see? He goes, they're always exhibiting some type of hostility. I'm like, interesting. Is it
hmm
around you or toward you? He goes, no, but you see it on the news. You see it,
the media.
right?
Yeah,
But you could see his question was very specific, and
yeah,
yet he is buying in to what is being shown to him
exactly,
more often than meeting a person like me.
exactly.
So he felt comfortable asking. Just think of how many American Africans buy into it also,
hmm
and that's what's controlling them. And that's why they have low level, and that's why things are said and shown and publicized, because it only affects people on a low level of emotional intelligence.
I get what you're saying, because you know, the scary thing that our people point back to, when I say our people, I'm talking about all around the world.
Yeah.
You know, they could always say, no, it's slavery, right? They know that what they have gone through, they experience it, and they know the colonialization brought
Mm-hmm.
every nasty form of racial epithet,
Right.
constructs, prejudice, and all that. That happens, but these things still affect us today.
Because we let it. We keep systematically moving it forward.
That's right. But how about the individuals that do, individuals or groups that do exercise prejudice? Not
Yes.
saying, and that's not saying how people don't do it either. I'm not. How about the, say for instance, a European or Latino that's prejudiced? You know, are they exhibiting low vibrational? Um,
Absolutely, because they're saying I'm prejudiced because this is what was done to me.
yes,
Again, you're being moved by an action that you know very little about, and you're letting that affect your outcome in actions and behavior and thought patterns.
yes, very
So
much.
if it basically if I can move you with a thought,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying you can't listen to me and I can have an opposite thought, but if I can create a trigger emotionally with a thought and words spoken, oh, you're easy.
Hmm.
You can actually be dismissed because you don't have what you call rational consciousness thinking. Your rational ability and emotional intelligence is high if you're rational. If you're unrational and you're aggressive and you're just trigger and impulsive, then it's very low.
Yeah, easily manipulated. So with that being said, what um what role does emotional intelligence plays in conflict resolution negotiation? Perfect segue. Like, how can we?
Oh my God, I did that today. So when I was meeting with that board, they thought it was a conflict resolution type thing, and it
Mhm.
isn't, because I had to, I I didn't have to, but I wanted to understand what people's emotional levels are at.
Yeah.
And I was hearing the words being spoken, and they were all trigger words that they didn't know that they were speaking. So
Mm.
it was less of a conflict resolution than a communication issue. And the
Mm.
communication comes from a personal level of how they perceive things and how they spoke on it. So that caused the rift and the discomfort.
Mm.
So after I explained and we worked all that out, it's like they even said, "Those wow, I can't believe." I mean, I really didn't do it on purpose, or I didn't even know I was doing it, and it's totally understandable because once you recognize it, after I show it to you or whoever points it out, after you recognize it, now it's up to you to make a decision. Because after today, anything negative is on purpose.
Yes. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Anything after today, I mean, I explain what you're doing. Anything after today, it's on purpose.
Got you. Got you. Got you. That's real because I don't think, like as you said, some people don't. I don't know. They process their cognitive approach. You like
They don't.
they
It's
so
not a process. It's subconscious programming. It's just why people don't think about protecting their loved ones. I've been in martial arts my whole life and whatever, and I constantly want people to feel healthy and safe about their environment and who they are, and they're not taking their lives seriously and getting the type of training that they could get to be safe, not feel safe, be safe.
Mm.
There's a difference. I put an extra lock on my door. Great. That's helping you feel safe, but you're still not safe because you're relying on the lock to protect you, not your ability to understand what needs to be done in case.
It happens. Yeah. That's true. But with all this that's being said, it sounds like a lot of fear with emotional intelligence. People are afraid to face themselves, the self-awareness,
Yes. Yep.
the lack of accountability, don't want to be not want to be held responsible. They just got this thing where they feel like it's like a sense of entitlement. Like you should know, like they expect a person, you should know how to treat me.
Okay. Just recently here in DC,
Mm-hmm.
a supermarket closed their doors.
Mm-hmm.
In the meantime, before they closed their doors, there was tons of kids grabbing and running.
Yeah.
The supermarket said, "You know what? We're done. We're shutting our doors." The people in
Yeah.
the community was upset.
Yeah.
I'm curious. Why are you upset? Well, we need a supermarket in its areas. But you did nothing about the kids grabbing all the stuff. You must know some of these kids if it's in your neighborhood. You
Exactly.
mean people just coming across town, people coming from like Long Island to Brooklyn just to grab food? I don't think so.
Yeah. You get shot. But anyway. I hear what you're saying though, Doc. So for those who like to know who Dr. Dyer is, how can people reach out to you? Those if they're interested in getting some form of counseling analysis done with them.
You
Seeking.
know, you can always contact me, but I want you to contact the show if you're serious.
Yeah.
Contact Mikey Fever or Ron Brown,
Yeah.
the licensed professional,
Mhm.
and then reach out to them, and they'll send me your name, and I will contact you.
Yeah. Exactly.
Because I get a lot of false requests.
Really?
Yeah, I get a lot of false requests
Oh
because
God.
they don't want to put in the work. But
Yeah.
if they don't mind going through some things, contacting you, stating out what it is. I
Yeah.
mean, you guys have my straight line number,
Yep.
and that's easy. I don't mind. I don't. But and I'm here to help people. I'm not here to take your money and and go to Florida with it. But I'm here to help you understand. If I could do that, then I will. I really do one better. If people want to reach out to me and they want to make a donation to the show, I will counsel them.
Oh wow, appreciate it. You hear that, people? There's help out there. The brother's willing to help y'all. Y'all better reach out to the good brother, man.
Because I believe in the show. I do believe in what you're trying to do, what we're trying to do with all your shows. So if you're serious, your donation's up to you. I didn't ask you for a number and all that stuff. I'm not one of these. I was going to say something about the church, but
nah. Let's. You see what's happening now, but you know that's crazy, man.
but yeah, because we help each other to help each other. So we help the show to be successful. I will help you.
That's peace, man, for real. That's peace.